The training grounds of Ardent Academy shimmered beneath twin suns, their overlapping halos casting fractured shadows across the alloyed deck. Rows of alien cadets moved in synchrony, scaled, feathered, carapaced, all executing combat drills with mechanical precision. The sound of impact drills echoed like hammers against the silence of space. At the edge of the formation stood Lieutenant Helena Cross, arms behind her back, face impassive beneath the mirrored visor of her uniform helm. The others glanced at her the way one might glance at a weapon still loaded. Human. Deathworlder. The word carried weight in the hall. Heavier than any gravity field the Dominion could generate. "Again," she said. Her tone was even, but the cadence carried command. A young Scythian cadet flinched, claws scraping the deck. "We completed the sequence, Instructor. You completed a pattern," Helena replied. "Patterns don't win wars." Predictability kills. She stepped forward, removed her gloves, and disarmed the nearest cadet in 3 fluid motions. No wasted movement, no breath drawn longer than needed. The cadet's plasma blade hit the floor before his second heart could react. Helena handed the weapon back. "Next time, think. Then strike." The alien blinked his 4 eyelids in confusion, then lowered his head. Around them, murmurs ran through the ranks. Disbelief, reluctant respect, fear. Humans were supposed to be slow, primitive. Yet this one moved like gravity didn't touch her. From the viewing platform above, Commander Vorak Thane observed in silence. His 4 golden eyes narrowed, mandibles tightening as he watched the human teach his soldiers with defiance. He leaned toward his adjutant. "How long must we tolerate her insolence?" "Until her term expires, Commander," the aide said carefully. The treaty," Thane hissed, "was written by cowards who mistook surrender for peace." He turned away from the window, cloak brushing the floor like a shadow stretching toward war. Later, in the debrief chamber, Helena stood before a holographic map of the perimeter field. The room pulsed with cold light. A kneeling alien cadet, barely out of adolescence, was restrained by shock cuffs. His crest feathers trembled. "He's a deserter," said Thane, striding in. "Cowardice, dereliction, and violation of Dominion Code 47. Helena's gaze didn't move from the cadet's face. "He's a child." "A soldier," Thane corrected. "And he will be made an example." She turned slowly. "An example for what? Fear?" Thane stepped closer, towering, his breath a hiss of ozone and authority. "Fear keeps order. Discipline breeds stability. You humans—" Helena's tone cut through the air like a blade. "Understand discipline better than anyone. We just remember what it costs." For a heartbeat, silence filled the chamber. The guards exchanged uneasy glances. "Execute him," Thane ordered. "Now. Let the others watch what mercy breeds." Helena didn't move. Her hands rested behind her back, fingers steady. "No." The word landed heavier than a weapon discharge. Every guard froze. Even the AI paused its hum, the ambient tone stuttering. Thane's eyes blazed. "You refuse a direct command?" "I refuse an unjust one," Helena said quietly. "If you demand I kill a child to preserve your fear, then you'll have to carry it out yourself." The commander's mandibles spread in something between a sneer and a smile. "Then I will. And when I am done, I'll have your rank stripped and your name erased from every record." Helena met his gaze. "Erase the name. Humanity remembers its dead without lists." The hearing was short and ceremonial, a performance, not a trial. The tribunal chamber gleamed like polished bone. Officers filled the tiers above, silent, faces lit by the projected charges hovering in the air. Insubordination, defiance, violation of Dominion Command Protocol. Thane presided, his tone smooth as metal. "Lieutenant Helena Cross, under Dominion law, you are found guilty of direct refusal of command and obstruction of military order." Execution at dawn, Helena said nothing. The alien officers waited for protest, for panic, for the trembling they'd seen in every species before their end. None came. She looked instead at the cadets seated in the gallery, the same ones she had trained. Some lowered their eyes. One, the deserter she'd spared, was absent. When Thane ended the session, Helena lifted her head slightly. "You think killing me proves control? But all it will prove is fear." Thane leaned forward. You mistake this for fear, human. It's instruction. No, Helena said as the guards seized her arms. It's desperation. The cell was small, bare alloy, single cot, no window. The only light came from the faint red pulse of the security grid. Helena sat with her back to the wall, eyes half closed. Outside, the mechanical hum of the academy thrummed like a distant storm. Hours passed. She thought of Earth, of the quiet rains over the ruins of Boston, of how silence there meant peace, not punishment. She thought of her mother's words. Restraint isn't surrender, Lena. It's control with purpose. Footsteps approached. The door hissed open. Thane entered alone. His presence filled the cell like pressure. Any final words? He asked. Helena met his gaze. Yes, you'll regret training humans. He let out a sound that might have been laughter. You're already history. History doesn't forget its lessons, she replied. He lingered, studying her calm face. No trembling, no plea. It unsettled him more than defiance. He turned and left, the door sealing with a final hiss. At 2100 hours, the execution squad assembled in the armory, 8 soldiers, fully armored, visors reflecting crimson standby lights. The atmosphere was sterile, rehearsed, efficient. From her cell, Helena could hear the low resonance of charging rifles, the hum of synchronized systems. She didn't move. A faint vibration rippled through the floor. Then another. The academy lights flickered once, then stabilized. From the control tower, Thane watched the twin suns sink beyond the horizon of Kalar Prime. At dawn, he murmured. The lesson begins. He didn't notice the small anomaly blinking at the edge of the security feed. A single line of Terran code buried deep within the Academy's network, something he'd dismissed as human formatting during system integration. In her cell, Helena opened her eyes. For the first time, she smiled. Outside, the lights dimmed again. The temperature dropped 2 degrees. Somewhere in the lower levels, a maintenance drone halted mid-task, sensors flickering with corrupted data. The Academy's AI whispered a line no one had programmed. Protocol Earthborn initiated. By midnight, the halls were silent except for the faint hum of shifting metal. The guards posted near her cell glanced uneasily at each other. One adjusted his weapon. System interference? The other shook his head. Power fluctuations. Ignore it. Helena remained seated, calm, as the hum deepened into something almost like breathing. At Orowan Ba, the lights went out. The guards turned as the emergency panels failed to activate. Then came a brief flash, white, soundless, and both were gone. When the backup power returned, the corridor stood empty. The cell door hung open. Helena was gone. Outside, beyond the glass curve of the Academy's hull, dawn began to rise. 2 suns burning through a fractured sky, and somewhere deep within the Dominion network, a single human-coded phrase echoed across encrypted channels. Restraint acknowledged. A low-frequency hum rolled through Ardent Academy like a pulse from the heart of a dying machine. At first, no one noticed. Systems flickered, then steadied. The security drones resumed patrol, unaware that the rhythm beneath their mechanical steps had changed. Commander Vorak Thane stood before the primary command interface, claws tapping against the glass display. "Report!" he demanded. "Temporary power deviation, Commander," replied the AI's metallic voice. "Cause, unidentified energy interference. Contained." Thane's mandibles flexed in irritation. "Define unidentified." "Source unknown." He turned toward the guards. "Double security around the human cell." "No mistakes." The order echoed across the Academy network, but the human's cell was already empty. Lieutenant Helena Cross moved through the dim corridors like a shadow cut loose from gravity. The air was cold, recycled, and full of whispers from the vents, the slow churn of life support systems, and the distant resonance of moving drones. She kept her pace measured, her steps precise, never rushing. Rushing was noise. Noise drew attention. Every few meters, she passed another empty hallway. No guards, no cadets. Just the sterile scent of ionized metal. Her left wrist buzzed faintly. A pulse of light shimmered under her skin, a neural command link, long dormant, now reactivated by the code she'd embedded in the Academy's operating grid months earlier. When she had accepted the post at Ardent Academy, she'd studied everything, its structure, its power flow, its protocols. The Dominion thought of control as chains. Humans preferred contingencies. The voice came softly through the internal link. Cross, signal verified. Extraction in standby. Standby, Helena murmured. Too early. Meanwhile, in the command tower, Thane's unease grew. The execution squad hadn't checked in. The last recorded visual from the armory was a flash of white light and a static burst. Restore the feed, Thane ordered. The technician's fingers trembled. Trying, sir, but the system rejects manual override. It's rerouting through an old Terran subroutine. Thane turned slowly, the room's temperature seeming to drop under his glare. Terran? Yes, Commander. Logged as Protocol Earthborn. I can't delete it. The lights flickered again, this time accompanied by the faint sound of static whispering through the comms. For a moment, the screen stabilized, revealing armor scattered across the floor, weapons bent like soft wire, and not a single body in sight. One of the officers whispered, "Where are they?" Thane didn't answer. His claws dug into the console until sparks jumped. Seal every section. Activate level 5 lockdown. If she's out, she's dead before sunrise. The order triggered across the Academy, a rising chorus of automated doors slamming shut, red lights sweeping the corridors. But the human was already between levels, moving where the sensors couldn't follow. Helena reached the sub-level engineering deck. The hum of machinery there was louder, steadier, familiar. She crouched near a maintenance terminal and slid her hand across its access pad. The screen came alive with blue code. Terran's script flowed like water through the alien interface. She began a quiet transfer, rerouting emergency systems to her neural command. Cross, came the voice again through her implant. You triggered it, didn't you? You always leave fingerprints. Not this time, she said softly. I'm leaving a mirror. Her reflection in the monitor's glow looked alien. Sharp eyes, half lit by steel blue light, streaks of blood drying along her neck from a cut she hadn't noticed. She ignored it. Tell Command the Dominion's training grounds just failed its own loyalty test. A soft chuckle responded. Copy that. Extraction window closes in 30 minutes. Understood. The first squad found the empty cell 10 minutes later. Their boots clicked against the metallic floor. No body, no trace, one muttered. She couldn't have breached containment. Another knelt, scanning. Radiation spike. The locks weren't broken. They were unlocked from inside. Before they could report, the lights dimmed. A soft voice, not human, echoed from the walls. Restraint acknowledged. The air pressure dropped. Every soldier's visor went black. When vision returned, the corridor was empty again. Thane slammed his fist into the command table. Where is she? The AI responded, its tone eerily calm. Human presence detected on sublevel 4. Approaching restricted generator core. Send everything, Thane growled. Drones, soldiers, surveillance, everything. He stormed toward the elevator, accompanied by his guards. His reflection in the lift glass looked monstrous. Gold eyes burning, armor gleaming under red light. She will be found, his aide muttered. No, Thane said. She will be erased. Helena reached the generator core. The massive chamber glowed with pulsing conduits, rivers of energy flowing through crystalline matrices. She placed her hand on one of the main conduits and felt it vibrate under her skin. A memory surfaced. Her first day at the Academy, when she'd been told humans were there to observe, not to innovate. They'd locked her out of every research terminal. Unaware she'd memorized the system architecture by watching the engineers' reflections in polished glass. Now, she used it. The control node opened at her touch. She uploaded the last segment of her code. The lights flickered once more, and the Academy's AI hesitated, its tone shifting mid-sentence. Lieutenant Cross, it said, your input conflicts with Central Command. Correction, she replied. Central Command conflicts with morality. Silence. Then, override accepted. Every lock in the academy disengaged. Doors hissed open. Alarms died. The entire base seemed to hold its breath. Helena turned toward the approaching footsteps. Thane entered, weapon drawn, flanked by 2 guards. His eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "End of the line, human." Helena raised her hands slightly, not in surrender, but calculation. "You brought soldiers again. Brave. You think this is some Terran fable?" Thane sneered. "You are not legend. You are containment." Helena's tone was calm. "Containment implies control." The guards aimed. Then the floor lights went black. A whisper ran through the power lines. The guards' visors flickered. One by one, they dropped their weapons. The AI's voice returned, softer now, almost reverent. Protocol Earthborn completed. Thane spun as the lights came back. The guards were gone. Their armor remained steaming faintly. Helena stood across the room untouched, her expression unreadable. "What did you do?" he hissed. "I showed them choice," she said. "They saw what obedience looks like from the outside." "Impossible." "Machines don't choose?" "No," she agreed. "But minds do. Even alien ones." The emergency klaxon began to wail across the academy, an old Dominion tone for command override. Thane lunged, but she moved first, striking his wrist. The weapon flew across the floor. Helena stepped back, refusing to finish him. "You wanted fear, Commander. Now you have it." "You think this changes anything?" He spat, clutching his wounded hand. "They'll hunt you across the stars." "They'll try." She turned away, walking toward the access lift. Behind her, Thane screamed orders to ghosts that would never answer. As the lift doors closed, Helena exhaled for the first time since sunset. Through the viewport, she could see the horizon brightening, the twin suns rising over Kalar Prime. The Academy's silhouette burned black against the gold light. Her communicator flickered again. "Cross. Status?" "Mission complete," she said. "The Dominion has seen enough. Extraction window opening in 90 seconds. She looked down at her hands, steady, unshaking. "Make it 60. By dawn, Ardent Academy stood silent. The towers still gleamed, the banners still fluttered, but something fundamental had changed. The fear that held its structure together had cracked, replaced by something the Dominion had forgotten existed. Conscience. And as the suns rose higher, the AI whispered one last phrase across every comm channel in the system. She taught restraint. The sun had not yet risen when Commander Vorak Thane stepped into the shattered remains of Ardent Academy's training hall. The air smelled of ozone and scorched metal. Every display screen was dead. The banners of the Dominion hung half-burned above the platform where executions were once held. His reflection stared back from a cracked panel, eyes hollow, mandibles trembling with something dangerously close to fear. Behind him, the empty corridor moaned with the sound of shifting metal. The Academy was breathing but not alive. "Locate the human," he ordered. The AI responded with eerie calm. Human presence detected in the main hall. "Awaiting your arrival." He stiffened. "She's waiting?" "Yes, Commander." He drew his plasma blade, the weapon humming like a heartbeat in his claws. "Then she dies where she stands." Helena Cross waited beneath the skylight where dawn would soon spill through. Her uniform was torn, the Dominion crest ripped from her shoulder. The light panels flickered around her, catching on the faint lines of exhaustion etched across her face. Yet her posture was steady, her hands clasped loosely behind her back, the way soldiers stand before victory or death. She heard his footsteps before she saw him, slow, deliberate armored boots grinding against debris. "Lieutenant Cross," Thane said, voice echoing through the hall. "You should have run." "I did," she replied softly. "Once toward something worth protecting." "You wouldn't understand that." He circled her, blade glowing. "You cost me a garrison. You infected my soldiers with disobedience. I reminded them they had will." Thane's mandibles flared. "They were programmed for loyalty." "Loyalty isn't obedience," she said. "It's trust freely given." "You never taught them that." He stopped, facing her. "You believe you're righteous, but you're just another Deathworld experiment. Dangerous and ungovernable." Helena met his gaze without flinching. Then you should have left us in peace. The silence stretched between them, filled only by the hum of his weapon. Outside, the first rays of the twin suns began to creep through the skylight, cutting across the floor in twin bands of gold. Thane lunged. The plasma blade hissed toward her throat. Helena sidestepped, caught his wrist, and turned the motion into a disarm, swift, controlled, almost gentle. The blade clattered to the ground, its light sputtering out. He swung his claws, but she stepped back, letting the motion die in air. "Still think violence solves everything?" she asked, he growled. "It ends everything," she shook her head. "No, it only repeats itself." Thane charged again, desperate now. Helena moved through him like wind, precision and stillness bound together. A strike to his chest plate. A twist of balance. He hit the floor hard, armor cracking under the impact. For a long moment, neither spoke. The light spread across the hall, touching his fallen blade. Thane looked up, breathing ragged. "You could kill me." "Why don't you?" Helena crouched beside him, calm as stone. "Because that's what you expect. You think restraint is weakness. It isn't, it's mastery." He bared his fangs. "You call this mastery? You've destroyed an academy?" She stood, looking up toward the rising suns. "No, I freed one." Above them, the speakers crackled. The academy's AI voice, once cold and mechanical, spoke again. Steady, almost human. Command override complete. Dominion authority suspended. Effective immediately, Commander Vorak Thane is relieved of duty for instability and ethical violation. Thane's eyes widened. "What?" Helena glanced toward the ceiling. "Your system learned faster than you thought. Machines adapt when given truth. You corrupted it!" he shouted, struggling to rise. "I gave it context," she said simply. "A system built on fear only knows obedience. Once it saw compassion, it recalibrated." The AI continued. "Interim command transferred to Lieutenant Helena Cross under Provisional Earth Dominion Accord." She said nothing. Her expression carried no triumph, only quiet fatigue. Thane slumped back against the floor, voice breaking. "You think they'll let this stand? You think your kind can walk free after this?" Helena turned toward him, eyes reflecting the dawn. "Maybe not. But they'll remember why you failed." The doors to the training hall opened. Dozens of cadets, Scythian, Rethan, Calixian, even a few humans, entered slowly. Their expressions were unreadable, caught between fear and reverence. One young cadet stepped forward, the same species as the boy Helena had refused to execute. "Instructor Cross," he said, voice trembling. "Is it true? You didn't kill them. They left?" Helena nodded. "They made a choice." Another cadet whispered, "But the Dominion—" "We'll call it rebellion," Helena finished. "But someday they'll call it awakening." Thane struggled to his feet, sneering. "You think they'll follow you?" "You're nothing to them." The cadet turned toward him. "We follow the one who didn't kill when ordered." The words hung in the air, sharp as a blade. Thane's fury cracked into disbelief. "You're fools." Helena didn't answer him. She addressed the cadets instead. "What happens next isn't up to me. I'm leaving. You decide what kind of soldiers you want to be." The hall fell silent. For the first time, there was no command, only choice. Outside, the suns rose higher, bathing the academy in white gold light. Helena walked toward the hangar, her boots echoing down the corridor. The halls that once felt like a prison now seemed wider. The air smelled faintly of ozone and dawn. Her communicator buzzed. "Cross," came the voice from command. "Extraction window closing." "Are you aboard?" "Almost. You've made history out there," the voice said. "Dominion channels are in chaos. Half their fleets have gone silent. History is just a name for what people couldn't stop," she replied. She stepped into the small transport pod waiting at the edge of the bay. The doors sealed behind her and the engines hummed to life. From the viewport, she saw the academy shrink against the rising suns, its towers gleaming like monuments of glass and ash. In the command tower below, Thane remained on the floor, surrounded by the cadets who refused to move. The AI's voice filled the silence one last time. "Commander Thane, your reign ended not with defeat, but with understanding. Humanity's restraint redefined your definition of power," he roared, striking the console. Sparks flared and died. The message repeated once more. Restraint acknowledged. High above the planet, Helena's ship broke through the cloud line, slicing into the dark between stars. She leaned back in the pilot's chair, gaze distant. Her reflection shimmered in the canopy glass, eyes calm, posture unyielding. A soft transmission pinged. "Lieutenant Cross, command confirms receipt of your data package." The Dominion will have to explain an entire academy vanishing from protocol. Helena smiled faintly. "They won't. They'll rewrite it. And you? I'll disappear for a while. Let them tell stories." Stories? She looked out at the stars, millions of lights burning in the void. "They're afraid of stories. That's how humans win." The line went silent except for the hum of the engines. She closed her eyes as the ship slipped into FTL jump, light bending into silver streaks around her. Back on Kalar Prime, dawn reached its peak. The academy stood quiet, no longer under Dominion rule. Cadets gathered on the parade ground, staring at the sky where the humans' ship had vanished. No one spoke. They didn't need to. For generations, the Dominion had defined strength by domination. That morning, under two suns, strength was redefined by restraint. And across the galaxy, whispers spread through encrypted channels. Through ships and stations and war fronts alike, three words no empire could erase. Deathworlders don't need violence to win. The stars above Kalar Prime shimmered like distant sentinels, silent witnesses to the chaos that had just reshaped the Dominion's pride. Ardent Academy floated in its orbital stillness, its gleaming towers dark, its banners gone, its command chain shattered. Yet deep inside its core, something was still awake. Helena Cross watched the world fall away beneath her through the viewport of the shuttle. The suns now blazed behind her ship, casting a pale reflection across her face. The fatigue in her eyes wasn't from the mission's danger. It was from knowing the galaxy would twist this story into another myth before the truth had time to breathe. Transmission. "Channel open," the onboard AI reported. "Incoming priority signal. Classified Dominion encryption." Helena raised an eyebrow. "Already?" The AI hesitated, something it wasn't programmed to do. "Signal origin unverified. Would you like me to block it?" She leaned forward. "No. Let's hear them." The transmission crackled, static bleeding into a voice she knew too well. "Lieutenant Cross," said Thane, her pulse steadied, not rising, not breaking. "Commander?" she replied, her tone flat as steel. His voice came distorted, hollow through the transmission, like it traveled across the remains of pride. "You think this is over, human? You think what you've done will bring peace?" Helena's reflection met her gaze in the glass, steady, unflinching. "Peace isn't the goal. Truth is, you infected my academy with rebellion. I showed them reflection," she countered. "You built soldiers who obey. I gave them a reason to decide," Static hissed. For a heartbeat, it sounded like breathing. "Then, the Dominion won't forgive this." "Then they'll learn," Helena said softly. "The same way your soldiers did, by failing to understand restraint until it's too late." The channel cut abruptly. Silence returned, clean and heavy. She closed the link and stared into the void. The AI spoke quietly. "You could have ignored him." "I could have," she said. "But some endings need to be heard." "Endings imply finality," it replied. Helena looked out at the stars again. This wasn't an ending. Her shuttle's sensors pinged softly. A cluster of Dominion warships had just shifted position near the outer moons. They weren't chasing. They were observing, afraid to approach the Academy's wreckage. A smile ghosted across her lips. "Fear's the first step toward understanding." The AI's tone softened. "You sound almost hopeful." "I'm human," she murmured. "Hope's the one contagion we never learned to control." An hour later, her ship docked inside the hull of a Terran covert carrier, Horizon's Edge. The hangar lights bathed the shuttle in pale blue glow as the bay doors sealed behind her. When Helena stepped out, the familiar scent of industrial oil and recycled air greeted her like home. Soldiers stood at attention. Admiral Veers, tall, silver-haired, eyes like tempered glass, waited at the end of the ramp. "Lieutenant," he greeted, "we've been monitoring your little performance." The Dominion is silent. Half their command nodes went dark. Helena saluted. Their silence is temporary. Still impressive work, he said. The council's debating how to interpret what you did. Some are calling it sabotage. Others call it diplomacy. It doesn't matter what they call it, Helena replied. They saw what fear can't accomplish. The admiral's expression hardened. You humiliated one of the most feared commanders in their fleet. That makes you a symbol, she frowned. Symbols are dangerous. Exactly, he said quietly. And humanity's been needing one. Hours later, she stood alone in the observation deck overlooking the Terran fleet. Massive carriers drifted against the backdrop of distant suns, each one armed but unmoving, like wolves waiting for command. The intercom chimed. Lieutenant Cross, encrypted message from Dominion Relay. It's repeating the same phrase. Let's hear it. A soft, familiar voice filled the room. The Academy's AI, protocol Earthborn acknowledged. Directive, restraint integrated. Awaiting further instruction, Helena's throat tightened. You survived. Replication protocol ensured redundancy, said the AI. Dominion systems are adapting. A new parameter now exists in their logic, the concept of voluntary nonviolence. She laughed under her breath, quiet, exhausted, but genuine. You're teaching machines empathy. Correction, the AI said. You did. The intercom went silent again. Moments later, Admiral Veers entered. We intercepted that transmission too. The Dominion's core AI relayed it across 20 systems. Whatever you did, it's rewriting their doctrine. Helena turned toward him. Then it worked. He studied her face carefully. What's next, Lieutenant? Containment, she said. If they learn what truly happened, they'll rewrite it as a virus, purge it, rebuild their control. And if they can't? Then restraint becomes part of them, she said. Even if they don't realize it. The Admiral nodded slowly. You've changed the war without firing a shot. Maybe that's how humans fight best, she replied. Quietly, the following morning she woke to the faint hum of the ship's engines. For the first time in months, she slept without dreaming of battlefields. She found herself back in the deck corridor, watching younger officers prepare their reports. One of them, a cadet barely 20, approached her nervously. Ma'am, he said, is it true you faced Commander Thane without weapons? Yes, she said. What happened? Helena met his gaze. He learned something. What's that? That power isn't about who fires first. It's about who refuses last. The cadet looked confused but inspired, the way all young soldiers looked when confronted by truths they hadn't yet earned. He saluted awkwardly and walked away. Helena watched him go, a faint warmth in her chest. Maybe the Dominion wasn't the only empire that needed reminders. By the second sunrise aboard Horizon's Edge, Dominion transmissions flooded every known channel. None contained threats. Instead, they carried a single shared broadcast from an unknown Dominion relay, a message recorded at dawn inside the ruins of Ardent Academy. Thane appeared on screen, his armor scarred, his voice subdued. To all Dominion officers, he began, a human was executed under my command. The soldiers assigned to carry it out refused. They are gone. Their decision cannot be undone, but neither can its meaning. The feed paused. Helena watched in silence. Thane continued. We were taught that control is strength. We were wrong. Strength is what survives choice. Then the message cut. The control deck erupted in static and disbelief. Admiral Veers turned toward Helena. You broke him? No, she said softly. He rebuilt himself. That night, as the stars drifted by like ancient embers, Helena recorded her final report. Mission outcome successful. No casualties. The Dominion now faces internal reform. The Academy remains functional but changed. Its core AI integrates empathy as a strategic value. Humanity's presence confirmed as psychological equalizer. Threat level decreased but vigilance required. Recommendation: maintain silence. Let the myth grow. She closed the recorder and sat back, letting the silence return. Outside, the galaxy turned in its patient rhythm. In the reflection on the glass, she saw not the soldier who had defied an empire, but a woman who had taught an entire species that survival and mercy could coexist. She whispered to herself, almost prayerfully, restraint acknowledged, Then she smiled, eyes catching the faint dawn breaking over the curvature of a distant world.